What's up guys, Mickle here, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the SEC's latest filing in the Ripple SEC case, because guys, the SEC just submitted a doozy, and I think this is really going to come back to hurt them. The SEC is arguing for the second time to Judge Torres that they should not have to hand over the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass emails, and guys, there is some serious desperation in their argument. In this video, we're going to go over all the SEC's biggest flaws in their latest argument to Judge Torres, what I think is going to come out of this, whether or not I think the SEC can win this argument, and what comes next. When can we expect a decision out of Judge Torres on this issue? This is super important to understand right now, because if we do not get a decision fast from Judge Torres, it is possible that even if Ripple does win these emails, they might not win them in time for summary judgment. We're going to talk about all of this. Make sure to stick around for this whole video. At the end of this video, I also want to quickly show you guys why it is so important to invest into the right sectors in the cryptocurrency market. Make sure to stick around till the end to see that. You are not going to want to miss it. Like always guys, if you are new to this channel or come here all the time, please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It goes such a long way in helping this channel grow, and it really does mean so much to me. If you guys are ever looking for a good place to buy some XRP, even if you live in the United States, make sure to check out the link in the description below. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So real quick guys, MOO-MOO is slowly becoming one of my favorite places to buy and sell stocks. MOO-MOO is a regulated exchange with a great interface, and if you sign up with MOO-MOO right now and deposit only $1 using the link in the description of this video, you will win 7 free stocks. Each one of these stocks could be worth up to $3,000, so make sure to check that out if you want some free stocks. So guys, let's jump into the video, and we have so much to go over in regards to the SEC's absurd behavior in their latest filing to this case. Now, like I said, the SEC is once again, for the second time, trying to argue to Judge Torres that they should not have to hand over the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass emails. Now, they were already told by Judge Netburn like 3 times that they need to hand these things over, but they're trying again with Judge Torres, and this is actually their second time trying to argue to Judge Torres. Now, the first time the SEC argued to Judge Torres, I pointed out one very important thing that we needed to look for, and that was whether the SEC was actually going to bring any new case law. The first time the SEC argued to Judge Torres, they kept on repeating the same things they said to Judge Netburn, and simply tried to say that Judge Netburn made the wrong ruling. They didn't bring any new facts to the table. They didn't bring any new evidence. They just kept on saying they did not like Judge Netburn's ruling, and therefore we're hoping you, Judge Torres, reverse Judge Netburn's ruling. Well, this is a horrible way to go at it, because unless the SEC brings any new evidence, then it's highly unlikely that Judge Torres is just going to go out of her way to contradict Judge Netburn's prior ruling. So I said it was super important to be paying attention to this next argument that the SEC brought to Judge Torres to see if the SEC brings any new case law. See if the SEC brings any new evidence to really give Judge Torres a reason to say, hey, I didn't consider this before, maybe you're right. But luckily for us, and unfortunately for the SEC once again brought no new evidence to the table. Just like Wheezy points out here, the SEC blatantly tells the courts the judge got the law wrong. They are not going to be happy about this. And right here, we see that the SEC's main argument here is simply that Judge Netburn got the law wrong. This is so crazy, because how could this be the SEC's main argument? The SEC needs to understand that Judge Netburn is the person who applies the law, not the SEC. So if Judge Netburn applies the facts the SEC gave them and came to her conclusion, there's really not much for the SEC to argue there. If the SEC wanted to have any hope of Judge Torres actually reversing Judge Netburn's decision, they had to bring something new to the table, and they simply did not do that. They stuck to the fact that Judge Netburn made the wrong ruling, even though every single lawyer who's been following this case really does believe Judge Netburn made the right ruling. So the fact of the matter is, the SEC simply disagrees with with Judge Netburn's ruling because it goes against them, and that's why they want Judge Torres to overturn it. Now, this is never gonna fly because the SEC isn't giving Judge Torres any reason why she should overturn it. And this was a great first sign. When I first opened this thing and read that, I knew this was gonna go over very well for Ripple because the SEC is simply failing to do anything they needed to actually convince Judge Torres that she should overrule Judge Netburn's decision. Now, I want to keep moving and point out a couple other things that I thought were pretty funny. We see, as pointed out by Attorney Bill right here, the SEC is once again changing their view on what the Bill Hinman Ethereum Free Pass even was. And if you take a look at what Bill says here, he says he's completely confused and lost count of how many times the SEC has changed their stance on what this speech meant. And if we take a look at what the SEC is saying now, they say agency communications like the speech may reflect personal views and agency staff's views without reflecting agency positions, and then they keep going and talk about even more disclaimers on what the speech could have meant, what it didn't mean, what it means sometimes, what it doesn't mean other times. Guys, the SEC realized they dug themselves into such a deep hole on this speech. The SEC is just throwing different theories at the court and praying the court accepts one of them. Unfortunately for the SEC though, I think they have pretty much lost everyone at this point on this issue. It is so hard to comprehend what the SEC is even trying to say anymore because they have changed their answer so many times on this issue and just completely have made it so convoluted it's impossible to even follow. I don't see any way the court's going to look at this new version of what the SEC's answer to what this speech was and be able to make any sense out of it. And because of this, I think the court is just looking at the SEC laughing right now, saying, what are you even doing? What the SEC is putting out to the court right now really doesn't even make any sense. And if you look at any different lawyer on Twitter try to analyze what the SEC is even putting out at this point, they're all just confused and lost. Guys, the judges aren't going to look at this any differently. They're going to read what the SEC says, and it's just going to go in one ear and come out the other. Trying to actually listen to the SEC right now is almost impossible. They're just saying anything you want to hear, regardless of it's true or not, and I think this is really going to come back to bite them when the judges go to make a final verdict on who ultimately wins this case. How can you trust a party who is not going to stick to any facts, not going to stick to any evidence? They're just going to try to tell you what they think they want you to hear. It's a complete joke and a complete failure in the SEC strategy thus far. Let's keep moving though, because there was a whole bunch of other very interesting stuff that the SEC did manage to shove into this 10-page response. Take a look at this. This is from Ashley Prosper, and this is one of the most interesting things I have seen yet out of this filing. Ashley Prosper tweeted out, the SEC claims it is ready to hand over the entire set of Hinman emails to Judge Torres for an in-camera review if she orders it. I hope she calls their bluff. And as we can see right here, the SEC literally said to Judge Torres, if you want, we will hand over all the emails for an in-camera review. Now, I am pretty shocked that the SEC said this. I don't know if this was a bluff or they're actually hoping that Judge Torres reads over these emails to try to cause more of a delay. Either way, I'm pretty shocked that they even brought this up to the court, because if these emails are as bad as the SEC thinks and as we think, then it's hard to believe how handing over these emails would be any way a good thing for the SEC. Now, I'm assuming what the SEC strategy is here is the SEC knows that Ripple doesn't want to delay summary judgment. So if the SEC can throw as many things in between now and summary judgment as possible, it might push off handing over the emails when it does eventually get ruled they need to be handed over. It might push off that event late enough where it won't happen before summary judgment. Now, with that said, I still think this is a very risky strategy for the SEC, because if these emails really are that bad, this is the last thing you want the judge to see before summary judgment, because this is going to be in the back of her head when she's making her final decision. Now, there was a very interesting note pointed out down here by John Deaton, where he points out that the SEC was caught deleting evidence from this case, and Ripple actually pointed that out. So could the SEC be trying to hand over altered evidence to the judges in hopes they could sway the judge's decision prior to summary judgment? I don't know, guys. We'll have to get more information on that. Hopefully the SEC cannot get away with something like that, and I doubt they can if John Deaton is already aware of it. I'm sure he's on top of that, but very interesting thing that the SEC did here. I'm not sure if this is just the SEC trying to be cocky and set up a bluff, or there's something deeper going on here. We'll have to keep an eye on this. I wanted to keep moving though and show you something very funny. In this speech, the SEC went out of their way to actually start calling Bill Hinman Citizen Hinman, which is a very funny twist because it really shows they're just trying to completely distance themselves from Bill Hinman. They want nothing to do with this guy anymore, and I don't blame him for that. I mean, when Citizen Hinman was at the SEC, he seemed to cause a lot of issues for the agency going forward, and it could be that Citizen Hinman is the reason the SEC could lose their entire grasp over the entire crypto industry. Now, in response to this, digital asset investor had a gold tweet. He said, "Now we need Citizen Gensler," essentially making fun of the fact that we now need Gensler out of the SEC and for him to become a citizen also. That would be awesome, and I actually do believe we are going to see Citizen Gensler a lot sooner than many people anticipate. I think right around midterms, with those things coming around, I think Citizen Gensler is going to realize that he's about to have a lot of pressure mounting up from him against the opposing party that really does not want him to continue his crusade against cryptocurrencies. So hopefully we do see Gary Gensler step down and become Citizen Gensler. I think that would be the best thing possible for the crypto industry. Now, I want to finish this video out and show you a very interesting tweet by Anders L. He tweeted out, "Why I'm focusing on cryptos used in trade finance while ignoring cryptos focused on gaming. A lot of projects are focused on the $200 billion gaming industry, but guys, if we compare the $200 billion gaming industry to the $1.9 trillion trade finance industry, guys, it's a drop in the bucket." What Anders L is really pointing out here is that, guys, you need to make sure you're in the right sector. There are a lot of really cool gaming projects out there, and I completely agree. But make sure you're also focusing on projects in industries that are insanely big. I mean, Ripple and XRP could be potentially disrupting the derivatives market. Guys, that is a $1 quadrillion market they are looking to disrupt. Trade finance is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. That is a huge opportunity. That's why I look at things like financial infrastructure projects that are really going to have a ton of value flowing into them. Think of projects looking to try to tokenize the stock market. That is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. And if you look at something like gaming, it's just not that big. And that's not to say there won't be projects out there that completely revolutionize gaming and make gaming a multi-trillion-dollar industry. It's very possible. I just want you guys to notice that there are sectors out there that blow things like gaming out of the water, and it's so important to pay very close attention to those because, guys, so much value is going to flow into the protocols that can really transform those industries. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. I love you all, and for now, Mickle out.